Thank you. Sorry. Welcome back to Beloved Unveiled. This is Cynthia Borsellino with
Leanna Borsellino.
my daughter. I say our daughter because I'm married with my husband. But
He's not
anyway,
here.
I know he's not here. But anyway, it was so funny saying my. But anyway, it's so glad that I'm so grateful that you're here, Leanna. And I just wanted to start off with I woke up this morning and I've, I'm in the process of publishing a book.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to share that with you too. So it's really getting me back on target and waking up early and working on things and spending time with the Lord. But I woke up this morning and I heard this because I had another direction I felt that we were supposed to go today, but then the Lord brought it back to this. So sorry, I had to do that. Excuse me for that. But I woke up hearing this in my head. It was like, I brought you to my banqueting table. My banner over you is love. I brought you to my banqueting table. My banner over you is love. I brought you to my banqueting table. My banner over you is love. My banner over you is love, love, love. Oh, my banner over you is love. Anyway, I heard that and he was reminding me, I think he wanted to share with me about there was a time that he brought me to that I had a vision of me sitting at the banqueting table.
Mm-hmm.
And and I wanted to share like recently because I talked about, where he began to show me where I flinched, in a past episode I talked about
Right.
flinching.
Yes.
So he took me a little bit deeper as why did I do that and why, what was going on? And there was still residual effects of being in abusive situations and trauma from my childhood, right?
Okay.
And even in my adulthood.
Right.
And I, you know, was thinking that the Lord was showing me that I still believe that He was okay with the abuse, or that I believe that He was okay with people being mean, even Christians, right? Being mean and um, harmful, doing things that aren't ethical. Because I came out of some situations in some nonprofit areas that I served with, and he's not okay with it, and he really wants to put that in me that he's not okay with it. He gives people an opportunity to repent and change, and that's his heart, but he won't control people's will and their free wills,
Mm-hmm.
right? So what I do, but to trust that what they're doing, I can say that it's wrong.
Yeah.
I don't have to excuse it or think, oh, because they still get to be in a position of leadership, or they because they're adults, or they seem like they're being blessed, but you know they're just living their life and not fully surrendered, right, to the
Mm-hmm.
Lord. But the banqueting table is where he showed me all of them were at the table with me, right?
Mm-hmm.
and and I was angry, and so I had a hatred. And what he showed me is I had such a hatred towards those who hurt me
Mm-hmm.
that it was affecting my own soul, my own spirit. And it was a deep seated in me, because which understandably so, right, when
Yeah.
we go through that.
Absolutely.
And you know so just coming to terms with the hatred, but letting it and go to him, like letting it come where Jesus is taking it from me, right, saying,
Mm-hmm.
here it is, this is what it is, what do I do with this? And he brought me to that banqueting table where they were all there. And when I gazed in and I looked up in his eyes, and I could see, just the love that he had, and it's like, and him speaking to me saying, I died for them too.
Yeah.
So it was like his vengeance is salvation,
Mm-hmm.
to destroy the work, like the darkness, the effects of darkness. And um and hatred breeds darkness. So anytime we hate with passion and all that, in the sense of, I think we need to hate what he hates and love what he loves. I hate sin, right? But the hatred of another human being will breed such darkness, which is where the enemy wants to get us captive, held
Yeah.
captive in. And so, but it's loving the light and going to Jesus to say, I give this to you. And like he's the ultimate judge, but his heart is that they too would repent and come to know him. And then what do we do with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if they're in eternity with us? And so, and that point of where I had that sense of, boy, that would be so awesome. Wouldn't that be awesome? Like that they truly understood and got who they really are and who they really were created to be, just like I want to know for myself, right? So anyway, there's so much, stuff that's happened in our lives that we buy into things or we believe things, but they don't line up with who God really is. So I don't know if you want to share, like, I know there's struggles that you've gone through too as well, right?
With people, or
Yeah, yeah.
honestly, I can't think of anyone right now, Mom. I don't feel like my experience is I don't really have a hatred towards people, which I totally understand why others would. I think I've just had such a low sense of self-worth that I can't, what's the word? The only hatred I've ever really felt is towards myself.
Self-hatred. Yeah. Yeah.
So, growing up, I always viewed everyone as above me or better than me. I never, ever had the belief that I was better than anybody else. Like, I don't know. Like, I just, and then I think finally at some point when I was in my adulthood, I realized we were all on the same level playing field, but it took me a while to get there. And I think a lot of that happened when I moved out to LA. And my boss out there, he had some unorthodox ways for being a producer, and just really kind of showed me that anybody can be in a position that's powerful, and anybody can, but we're all just we're the same.
We're all human.
We're all human, and I think up until that point, I literally thought everyone was better than me. Like everyone deserved to be here but me.
Well, I used to believe that too. Yeah, absolutely.
That's
generational too.
But no, I've never, and like I said, maybe that has a lot to do with trauma, but I've never like despised the thought of other people. It's always the despising was towards myself.
I don't think I ever thought of me hating them until that moment when I was sitting there.
Well, and it makes perfect sense too. Sometimes I wish I would experience that, but I don't know. I don't experience that feeling.
I think it's like when you've been victimized or harmed, and then it continues, and you don't want to ever do that to anyone. I mean, the most horrible thing is like, oh, I don't want to ever do that or let anyone. I don't want to put anybody through that, right? So you end up being victimized over and over and over again, and you believe you deserve it, or that's just the way it is, or whatever, until Jesus comes on the scene to bring some healing in it. Anyway, it's kind of a.
Also, you have to keep in mind, you are my mother, and I was raised by you, and Dad.
Yeah.
But when you were going through a lot of your healing, I was, in my teens, and I don't think there was ever a point, because you were experiencing these revelations then, right?
Yeah.
So, I just, like, it was always, people do things that are awful and sinful, but they're still human and they're still a child of God. And so I was just always taught from you to, or not always taught, but I just feel that was ingrained in me as well, is, whoever this person is that's harmed you or done this, like, God still loves them. And so I,
it doesn't mean that we go and get hurt by him continuously.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean that. It's just, like I said, I had some things I had to overcome in myself.
Yeah. And I think that was one of the, like, why do keep thinking that it's okay for, it's kind of hard to explain, but it's like, even when, as an adult and you go through where you're being mistreated or not even having a conversation, somebody doesn't even respect you enough to have a conversation. If they have an issue, they go and talk to somebody else, right?
Yeah.
And then you find out about it and you go to talk to them about it, but they don't give you the respect or, which I call like honor, to have that conversation. And I think, in my younger years, I wouldn't have done it, but God's taught me over time that that's how you shut the enemy up. You go and confront the issue. And do it quickly. Don't let the sun go down, right?
Yeah.
And anyway, it's been I was trying to see how going from, that was the other thing, is going from, I used to be so afraid that if something good happened, that right around the corner, all these bad things were going to happen.
Oh yeah, I can.
Can you relate to that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say I don't know if a lot of people think that way, but I probably think that way too.
Oh my! I was like, okay, I'm this good, great moment. Like, oh, just around the corner, something bad about ready to happen, and the Lord started reminding me, it's like, I take you from glory to glory. Like our people would say, you go one step forward and you go 10 steps backwards. Have you ever heard that? Like I've heard people say
Yeah,
that
I've
too.
heard that. I think it's a form of hypervigilance, is when you've gone through a lot of trauma,
Mhm.
you're constantly like, you can never get too comfortable.
Yeah. So and as something that he's shown me, in that I've taken you from glory. You're not the same person you were, and I'm taking you from glory to glory. You're not going backwards. It might seem like you're going backwards, but that it's because that thing is still there affecting you.
Yeah.
It might have been hidden under the surface, but it's still there. So now it's coming out to the front. Now you get to, like, are you willing to give that to me? Are you willing to let me walk you through that? Like whatever that is, there's just kind of like with the whole thing with the flinching thing, where why did I shut down? Because I was shutting. Why am I shutting down? And so it was an opportunity, and I could look at it and say, oh, I'm going 10 steps backwards again. But instead, it's like the Lord saying, no, you're still in a better place than you were even a year ago or 2 years ago. Like, you're growing, you're learning. So now here's a deeper root of something. It's just residual. He just showed me it was like residual stuff from false beliefs and things because of what happened to me and my experiences that outweigh his truth. So it's like, okay, now what can I, do to change that? So I kind of just shifting my perspective of it,
Yeah.
So kind of come, and I think that's why I kind of titled this, hatred, bringing hatred to the banqueting table.
Yeah.
So you come to the banqueting table of Jesus, and he sits there with you, and you're, conversing with him and eating with him and like having that time with him. And he's so good at bringing to light, to tap into your heart, to love you. Never condemnation, never destruction for you, but always safe place and a beautiful place.
Yeah, that is something interesting. Like, how amazing would it be as, like, when you pass on and you go to heaven and you're there, and that man that brought you to your first brothel that is there, and he's cheering for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, he's like greeting you and is excited that you made it and you're there. And like, that's a really intense thought.
Yeah.
And feeling.
And you're thinking, I've had, just for you even saying that, I see like just hugging and crying, embracing and say, where the enemy meant to destroy us, God delivered us and freed us. That's the transformation of Jesus Christ. That's why his resurrection is so important.
I feel emotional thinking about it. And
I
it's
know.
not even my story.
It's a beautiful picture. I mean, and it's not saying that was okay, what happened. It's not at all.
Absolutely. Yeah, right.
It's just the redemption of Jesus. We're all sinners. We've all sinned and fall short of the glory of God.
Exactly.
And anyway, what a great conversation.
I know.
So anyway, if you'd like to, our time's coming to an end, but if you'd like to reach out to us at belovedunveiled@protonmail.com, belovedunveiled@protonmail.com, and we'll continue more on the conversation next week. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for having me.
Today.